Today I will be beginning a series on interesting places to visit created by a rock formation in Ohio called the Sandstone. This sandstone resembles a lot of the rocks that I have recorded in the Cave Run area of Kentucky. It is a sandstone. I'll get some closer up views of it as the day goes on. But I'm just taking a distant view of a very interesting small mountain here in Fairfield County, Ohio. I'm actually standing at the Fairfield County Fairgrounds in Lancaster, right near downtown Lancaster, Ohio here. I'm in the middle of the oval here, and I'm going to zoom in on what's called Mount Pleasant. And there we go. Mount Pleasant is a knob a couple hundred feet higher than the surrounding land, probably 300 feet higher. And the top of it is at least 100 feet of solid sandstone, and it creates a natural overlook. And those of you from the Ohio Valley and central and southeast Ohio know that we do have hills, but natural overlooks are a rarity. And this is one of two that I can think of in this area that has an extensive view, and not just you can see the next set of trees. So this actually has a view that extends all the way to downtown Columbus on a clear day. I'll be climbing up there in a few minutes. We'll see if we can see that far. It's a little cloudy today with a little bit of light precipitation, but we'll see what view unfolds from up there. And I will be trying to get a closer look at the sandstone. It resembles many of the sandstone formations in Kentucky, but it is actually much older, but was formed in a similar way. So let's start hiking up what's called Mount Pleasant. This is a city park, and it is called Rising Park in the city of Lancaster, and it is open to the public, and there is a trail to the top of what's called Mount Pleasant. So here we go. And I have come about halfway up Mount Pleasant in the Rising Park trail system. I believe I'm off the official trail to the summit at this point, but this must have been the way up many years ago, because we have an old wrought iron staircase here that's still safe to climb, and then some hand-hewn steps right into this blackhand sandstone, which is a pretty hard rock, but it can be easily chiseled. And there's some graffiti here of people carving their names over the generations. And I'm going to pan around. Lancaster is just below me here. I'm going to zoom in. So the church spires of downtown Lancaster. It's a medium-sized city with lots of old, very well-kept churches and buildings in the downtown area. While I'm here, I'll do a little bit of information on plant species. When you have to live in the side of a cliff, creates some challenges that not all plants are up to. But this particular pine tree here is called the Virginia pine, and it is well adapted to these sandstone cliffs and is found commonly in what's called Appalachia and the central Appalachians as well. And this is the edge of its habitat range. It would not be found to the west of here. It just would not be the right kind of soil conditions or dry enough for it to be able to outcompete its broadleaf neighbors. So this is got small little needles that can retain moisture even in a dry season. This sandy soil on this hillside would not hold water for long. Even, it is wet today. It is dry for many months of the year. And this Virginia pine is up to the challenge. So that's what we have. And we're about halfway up Mount Pleasant here. And here I am on the same ledge at which I made my last commentary. I followed it around the edge of this Mount Pleasant. I have not reached the summit, but I'm looking up. Again, this is a very thick layer of sandstone, at least 200 feet thick here. And something that is commonly found in what's called this blackhand sandstone is a formation called honeycombing. And these little pits in the rock are a couple inches across, maybe 6 inches at the most. Looks like a honeycomb. It's really just because some minerals in this rock eat more easily than the ones surrounding them. And it makes for some very neat photographs and just something neat to look at. So Any of you who have been to the Hocking Hills State Parks in the county south of here have seen this on many of the trails, and this is kind of a warm-up for the Hocking Hills. If you're looking for something that's like the Hocking Hills, it's less crowded and a shorter drive from central and southwest Ohio, this would be your park. Well, if any of you have ever spent time in beach habitats, the Gulf or Atlantic coasts that tend to be quite sandy, you see ripple marks in the sand left by waves, and here's what we've got here. This is sandstone, but these would be ripple marks that have been preserved in this layer of sandstone. Again, I called this YouTube channel Let's Dig a Little Deeper for a reason. I'm off the trail now, but not by much, and I'm staying safe. I'm on a nice wide ledge here, but there's so much to see if you can just get off in the little corners and cubby holes of these parks. You don't have to go to the famous parks to really get a lot of entertainment and education. So that's why I'm doing this. I've got a plant here in bloom. This is early May, and boy, you know, I'm rusty on my Appalachian plants, and I don't know it, but I will try to update this video series when I get the answer. It may be some kind of viburnum, and it's got a nice showy white flower. A nice contrast with the tan sandstone in background here. Also, right above me here, it's not in bloom yet, but it will be shortly, maybe in a few weeks here, is what's called mountain laurel. And if I can get a good view of the leaves here, and there will be, those are the flower buds ready to open, maybe in June sometime. And here it is right here, growing right out of this rock. I mean, it doesn't even get direct rainfall here. This is an overhang. It has to depend on the water that drips through this overhang to survive. So, a real showy plant that's common in Appalachia and the central and even parts of the northern Appalachian Mountains and southern Appalachians. But not common in Ohio. You have to come up in these hill areas and get away from the limestone soils to really create the right habitat for some of these plants. And here I am at the summit of Mount Pleasant in Rising Park in Lancaster, Ohio, and I'm going to pan around to where this fairly short hike started. There's an oval down there. It's part of the Fairfield County Fairgrounds. So if you didn't do any off-trail exploring, you could probably be up here in 20 minutes from the fairgrounds. It's a fairly short hike, but on a clear day you can see many, many miles. Today will not allow that, but I am going to be exploring some of the nature preserves in this county throughout the afternoon, and I will continue this video series at one of those in a few minutes.